From the fields to the courts and the gridiron to the tracks.
Electrifying sports talk from start to finish.
You're going wire to wire.
With Diesel and Cole Bryson.
I'm already waiting on it, Cole. I'm setting the over-under in my mind at 2.5 minutes into the show before we get corn chip all over the stream, talking that you-know-what about last night, App State, Georgia Southern. App State coming off a bye week, Cole, crapped the bed for the first three quarters and then came roaring back to try to make it a ball game, but the damage was done. And you and I have talked how many times over the past couple of weeks about coaches being hired and fired and people being twitchy and all over that button, ready to send somebody packing, send somebody home. I'm there already with Dowell Loggins, and it's been 9 games. Like, you just know within a couple of weeks if somebody is that dude or not. And, man, I'm like 95 out of 100 convinced that Dowell Loggins is not that dude. A lot of South Carolina Gamecock fans been saying, hey, do you think we could get him back? Do you think we can bring him back to Columbia? Take him. Take him. Get him out of Boone. We don't want him. He's no good.
You know what, man? Look, losing to your rival, I get it. It's not fun. Both teams, though, are 4-5. So I'm with you. Like, I understand that you wanna find the signs, Diesel, like where you say, oh, that's my coach, that's my guy, right? Like, you want to see flashes where you feel like you made a good hire. You feel like the AD rather made a good hire. And unfortunately, I do hate it for App State because you're telling me, 9 games in, that you haven't felt like you haven't had that feeling yet of where you said, man, as an App State fan and alum, I love this guy. You haven't had that. We knew like 4 weeks in that Eli Drinkwitz was that dude, right? Like, yeah.
I was nervous when he was hired. I was like, who's this nerd? Who's this nerd coming out of NC State who's never played football, who's never been a head coach before? This guy can't coach. He doesn't know what he's doing. And then a couple of games in, you're like, oh, he is for real. Like Eli Drinkwitz is that guy. He will take this team to heights. But Dowell Loggins, man, he is flat on the sideline. He is not an excitable guy. I don't know what it takes to get him riled up because I haven't seen it yet. He's just standing there on the side like, ho-hum. We can't run it on the worst rush defense in the conference, even though we have the best running back in the conference. And he's over there like, everything's fine, guys. We'll figure it out.
You know what I look at, Diesel? I look at this last night, in 25-23 for your App State Mountaineers. You're talking about running the football. You had a lot of yards of offense last night, but you only had 23 points to show for it. And I think that's the problem. A.J. Swan last night threw for 348 yards. Total team yards, you had 77 total team yards. That's obviously after A.J. Swan had negative 13, but your two backs, Shakari Lewis, Diesel. I'm just looking at the stats. Not trying to take shots. Shakari Lewis had 50 yards, and then the Rashad guy, he had 40. Davinion, he had 40. Yeah. So you run for 9. Your two running backs run for 90 yards before that 13 loss, but you only get one touchdown on it. And again, same thing in the passing game. A lot of offense last night, but not a lot to show for it. That's the problem.
Yeah, I mean, it could have been a different story when A.J. Swan throws an interception on the 2-yard line with somewhere in the fourth quarter. That could have made the game a different story. I don't know. It's not really the point. The point is, I don't think Dowell Loggins is that guy. There's a lot of South Carolina Gamecock fans, apparently I owe an apology to, who believed that he was not that guy. And I said, well, hey, maybe it was him. Maybe it was more him than Lenora Sellers. And then there's also a handful of South Carolina Gamecock fans who want it back. And I said, you can have it. You can have it. But I didn't really intend to start off talking. Look, Corn Chip's already there in the stream and or on the text line. And Corn Chip took Georgia Southern to win the game in the Upset Picks Challenge. So congratulations to him. It's big. He gets 5.5 points going into the weekend. But, Cole, I wanted to talk about this. There's two really interesting pieces, two interesting nuggets when it comes to the coaching carousel here in 2025. Number one, I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of days ago, our friend of the show, Josh Pate, teased some news that he knows of a big-time coach that is going to be on the move at the end of the season, and he kind of let the cat out of the bag that it's Lincoln Riley could be on the move at the end of the 2025 season. Interesting. I don't know who would want him at this point, but I guess he might be the sexiest girl who's willing to say yes to go to the dance because everybody else is locking up their coaches. But, Cole, I see active campaigning on behalf of Penn State out there in the news, in major national news sources, trying to get Josh Heupel out of Tennessee and get Josh Heupel up to Penn State. And I just wonder, Cole, would that be a massive power play, number one, for the Big Ten, number two, a massive coward move from Josh Heupel to hit the road and head up to College Park. Where's Penn State located? Penn State.
Yeah, I don't know that I would leave Tennessee, an SEC school that has a lot of pride, tradition. Let me say this real quick on Riley.
State College. That's what I meant to say. State College.
Let me say this on Lincoln Riley. I guess we're to the point now, Diesel, where if you can't get Lane Kiffin, you get the knockoff Lane Kiffin, right? You get the Walmart version. What's the Walmart brand? Is it the Sam's brand or whatever it is?
Great value.
The great value version. So basically what you're saying is if you're LSU, if you're Florida, and you can't get Lane Kiffin, you want the great value Lane Kiffin, which is that guy over at Southern Cal who really hadn't done a whole lot. I mean, what has Lincoln Riley really accomplished at Southern Cal? I mean, we're talking about a guy that just a couple of, I think last year, you and I on this show, we're just talking about the hot seats in college football and where Lincoln Riley kind of fit into all that. And I know Lincoln Riley may not be on the hottest of seats, but when you look at Lincoln Riley's tenure at Southern Cal, what has Lincoln Riley accomplished that makes you think, this is a guy we want to go get? Because Diesel, ultimately, you would imagine Southern Cal's the place to go win, right? Southern Cal's the place where you have the money and the resources. I mean, the recruiting hotbed, California and Southern California, are you kidding me? So if Lincoln Riley can't get USC to the big stage, yeah, it's great value brand is what it is, because you're not seeing that. Now, on the Josh Heupel note, if you're Josh Heupel, would you leave a storied SEC program to go to Penn State? I think every coach, Diesel, that ever wants to coach and be a head coach wants and dreams of being in the SEC. However, if you're telling me, as Josh Heupel, I could go to Penn State and have a very nice spending budget allocated to my team, and I didn't have to play Alabama, the next week didn't have to play LSU, the next week didn't have to play Ole Miss. Ooh, you got me. Oh, okay. Now I'm thinking about it.
If that's the case, why aren't coaches rushing to the ACC, where
I know
it's easy to win football games?
I know. I'm with you. You would think, but I'm just thinking. Now, that conference that Penn State's in, we know there's some really good football teams. I've said before it's kind of top-heavy. You still have to get through Ohio State. You still have to get –
But it's getting deeper than it's ever been.
It is. And look
State,
at Indiana.
Oregon, Indiana, Illinois started off really strong, and they kind of faded down the stretch. Penn State started off really strong. They obviously faded down the stretch. They're in the situation that they're in.
That's interesting.
The top 25 team. So I think the Big Ten is deeper, at least as of right now, snapshot, than a lot of people give it credit for.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though. When you talk about Josh Heupel going to Penn State, if I'm a Heupel, I'm going to the meeting, right? I'm attending the interview. I'm interested. Now, yes, the Big Ten's getting better. There's no doubt about that. And again, it's very top-heavy. The teams at the very top are very, very good teams. We talked about the teams that have won the national championship in the last few years. So, I think there's so many layers to this. And again, would love to hear from the Tolos on this at 844-326-3663. Where can you win? Where do you have the best resources? And I know this probably won't be admitted by a lot of people, but where do you have the best path? Do you have the best path in the SEC? maybe Josh Heupel, Diesel, feels like he does have a path there. Maybe he feels like what he's built at Tennessee is too important just to get up and leave. Maybe that's the case, but I do think he needs to have the conversation and think about it.
So this article asserts, Cole, and you can tell me if you believe this or not, that Josh Heupel is on the hot seat at Tennessee. And I don't believe that for a second. I don't believe that for yet. Yeah, they got into the 12-team playoff last year. They were in. They got waxed, obviously, but they were in. And then they go through the most public, nasty NIL divorce we've seen to this point. It's going to happen again eventually. I don't know who it's going to be, and I don't know where it's going to be. But they went through this nasty Nico Iamaleava story. And then they're somehow able to recover at the last minute with Joey Aguilar, who's been serviceable at the SEC level. I mean, he is one of the great stories of the transfer portal era, right? He came from Diablo Community College to App State. Then he goes to UCLA. Then somebody with a higher profile comes in and snakes his job. And then he goes to Tennessee and takes that guy's job. And, he's been pretty good at Tennessee. He was not a Power 4 level recruit, and he's somehow winning games against Power 4 level teams in the SEC. It's a phenomenal story.
It is.
I don't know if Tennessee fans really think that Josh Heupel is on the hot seat, but that thought process, because they've been eliminated already after losing to Oklahoma last week, that's totally bogus.
You know what? I don't think his seat is really, really high. Is there pressure at Tennessee? Sure, there's pressure at Tennessee. Tennessee's a football program that expects to win and win at the highest level year in and year out, right? There's no doubt about that. So here's where you are. You're 6-3 with an opportunity, and by the way, you said it, losses to – they scored, by the way. I mean, they scored a lot of points in the first few weeks. They lost to Georgia. They lost to Alabama, and who was the other one? Oklahoma. And you just brought up the Oklahoma loss. The reality of it is, Diesel, when you look at their schedule, they have New Mexico State, Florida, and Vandy. They still have an opportunity to finish 9-3, 6-3 in conference. Now, you ask South Carolina fans from a year ago, 9-3, a 3-loss SEC team is probably on the outside looking in. Now, they did regress a little bit from last year. They did regress. If you remember, Diesel, they did make the CFP a year ago. They did not make the conference championship game, which every Tennessee fan will tell you they expect to be in the conference championship game, even though last year they actually landed in a good spot when it comes to CFP because they got in the college football playoff and they didn't have to play a conference championship game. So they were the one team in the SEC that wasn't playing a conference championship game. So they did regress a little bit. They're an 8-3, or I think they're a 9-3 team when it's all said and done, depending on what they do with Vandy to end the year. I just don't know how you can say 9-3 and your coach is on the hot seat. Even at Tennessee, where he has high expectations, he's 37-15. I mean, he has 11 wins against top 25 opponents. He's 11-8. A little bit better than 500. Could that be better? Sure, could be, but Josh Heupel's a really good football coach, and if you're dumb enough to fire that guy after going potentially 9-3, what are we talking about here?
There's a lot of Tennessee Vol fans. I know that is a proud fan base that really, really wants to win, and they expect to win. And they've got history. They've got pedigree, and I'm not trying to take that away from them. But remember, you're coming out of the Jeremy Pruitt era. You're coming out of the Butch Jones era. You're coming out of the Derek Dooley era. It's been a long time. It's been a long time, almost 20 years since Phil Fulmer left you, since he retired, right? And those last couple of years of Phil Fulmer weren't what the first couple of years of Phil Fulmer were. So appreciate the fact that you've got a coach that in a down year is winning you 9 games. This is not like what we're talking about with the Clemson scenario, where a down year, you're probably not going to make a bowl game. That's not what's happening at Tennessee right now. They got dealt a raw deal right before the season. They recovered in a way probably better than most teams would and most coaches would in the SEC, and they've been really, really good. Now, could Penn State lure Josh Heupel away with some money?
Yeah, probably, because he's only making $9 million. Only making $9 million at Tennessee. James Franklin was making $8 at Penn State. So you telling me that Penn State couldn't come up with 11
Right.
to try to pull Josh Heupel out? I mean, his max bonus was $1.7 million this year. So call that just shy of $11 million. If they can make his base salary $11 million and add some incentives to that, if I'm Josh Heupel, I'd listen.
Hey, and by the way, easy on Derek Dooley. I like Derek Dooley. I've always liked.
He looks like the orange pants.
Well, he coached the Cowboys after he left college, so he was a wide receivers coach, and then I think he was a tight ends coach with the Giants for a year.
You are reaching today.
I like
full of muscle reaching.
No, I've always liked Derek. I'm serious. Now Butch Jones, no, I've never liked
champions alike. Butch Jones.
I don't know anybody that does like Butch Jones. I don't know if Butch Jones likes Butch Jones. I for whatever reason, you know how sometimes you just like Rend. I've liked Derek Dooley. I thought he's a good coach. I know it didn't end well in Tennessee, but I liked old Derek Dooley for whatever reason. And again, maybe it's because he was with my Cowboys for a good little stretch. But ultimately, if you're Tennessee, you want to see how these 3 games go. And obviously, they're going to beat New Mexico State. They go to Florida. I think that could be interesting next Saturday. Or actually, I'm sorry, that's the 22nd because they have a bye. No, that is, let's see. They do play they're off this week. They're off Saturday, and then they play New Mexico State next Saturday. And then the following week.
Quasi-bye.
That's right. Yeah,
I'm not
true.
trying to be disrespectful
No, that's
to
true.
Mexico, but still.
That's true. So you get pretty much 2 bye weeks before you play at Florida. And I'm sure that game, that staff's probably already peeking ahead to Florida. So, again, you want to see how these games go. Now, worst case scenario, if we play the other side here and play devil's advocate and they beat New Mexico State and move to 7-3, and then you drop Florida and Vandy, conversation changes a little bit because that would mean you couldn't finish strong after essentially 2 bye weeks like you just called it with the bye week in the New Mexico State.
And a team that just fired their head coach.
Correct. So if you go, let's say 7-5 after last year not making the conference championship game, then there's some regression there. There maybe is a valid point there, but I don't see them dropping those final 2.
And then maybe Penn State says, you know what? Maybe we don't want you over here.
Yeah, I think they went. I think they went out, Diesel.
I think they have a good shot at it for sure. And that that state championship with Tennessee there means a lot more considering Vanderbilt has had the run that they've had. Tennessee fans would tell you it doesn't mean that much to beat them, but it does.
It does.
They'd be liars if they said it. Oh, well, historically, it doesn't mean that much. No. Vanderbilt's really good. If you could beat Vanderbilt this year, that's a big deal, and it means more than it ever has.
It's true.
Even though they wouldn't fit.
It's true. Diesel high school football playoffs round 1. It's here tonight. No Burns football as Burns is on a bye week, so you will not hear Burns on the radio tonight. We are airing Furman basketball tonight on the Fan Upstate. But, Diesel, we've got to get to my predictions. Round 1 of the high school football playoffs. Let's talk a little high school football next. Yep.
This is Wired to Wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel of the Fan Upstate.
Well, it is time. Round one of the high school football playoffs are here, and man, what a big night it is across the upstate as we've got a loaded slate of games. Before I get to my picks, I will preface by saying because so many teams do make the postseason, I think we will see a good many blowouts tonight here in Week 11 is what we're officially calling it. But I think that next week it really starts to get good because we're going to have some fascinating matchups in round two, Diesel. But with so many teams making the playoffs, I would say it's safe to say tomorrow morning, don't be surprised if you see a lot of lopsided scores here in the first round.
Well, let's get started here.
Let's do it.
On your predictions. How about Boiling Springs at Malden, a traffic jam that I'm going to have to get around on my way home?
And let me tell you this. If you accidentally pulled into the high school, I think this will be a good game tonight. I think this could be one of the better games in round one, Diesel. It's a rematch from early in the season when Malden actually beat Boiling Springs. And I just love what Andre Cook's done at Malden. Their record shows 5-5. But I think sometimes, Diesel, you know how you're a little bit better than your record shows. I think this is the case for Malden. There's a lot of excitement around Malden's program right now because they're playing really competitive football. They're coached well. They play hard. Malden got Boiling Springs the first time. And, you know, there's an old saying, Diesel, it's hard to beat a team twice. That's true unless the other team's just a better team. And I think Malden's playing better. I'm going with your Malden Mavericks tonight, since you're over in that area. I'm going with the Mavericks to win tonight. Yeah.
Didn't you tell me that the job Andre Cook has done in his short time there, especially building up a structure beneath them that's going to bring bringing up Pop Warner players and middle school players in that Malden system is going to really set them up for the future?
Yeah, he gets it. Andre Cook's he's a really quality coach. And look, Malden, just to be quite frank, is a tough place to win. It really is. But he gets it, and there's enough athletes in Greenville. I'm not saying Malden should be, hanging banners every year, but they were 0-10 in his first season. Well, guess what? The year before that, they were 1-10 under Coach Naismith. The second year, he won 2 games. The third year, he's won 5 games. So I kind of equated, they're playing Boiling Springs tonight, and I kind of equated to what Matt Reel's done at Boiling Springs. He took over a program that was in a tough spot, and he's brought some stability. And, yeah, to your point, I think he's doing a tremendous job. I think Andre Cook will be one of the hotter-named coaches here in a few years.
Sounds like Malden might be a little bit ahead of schedule, and that's a good place to be.
Yeah.
How about JL Mann at Spartanburg?
This one's interesting just to see what Spartanburg looks like again without star running back Trenton Lynch. If he doesn't go tonight, J.L. Mann's had a tough year, Diesel, under first-year head coach Bryce Smiley. I don't see this game being particularly close. Give me Spartanburg tonight.
All right, next up, we got Eastside at Gaffney Indians.
The Eastside Eagles played Gaffney really tough the first time. It was 40-35. This is also a rematch, Diesel. I'm actually broadcasting live today from Gaffney. This game tonight I believe, is going to be a good game. Again, it was just a 5-point game the first time where Gaffney prevailed. Eastside's got players that are just tough. They play hard. They play both ways. Peyton Schrader, Lucas Tankersley, those guys are really tough. And I think those two can make games interesting as they did for several region teams this year. But I think Gaffney's just a better team. I think Gaffney wins tonight. I'm going with the Indians to win.
Next up, right here in our neck of the woods, Greenville hosting Nation 4.
I think this could be one of the better games of the night, Diesel. Nation 4, the team under first-year head coach Jake Bentley, the son of Bobby Bentley, the former Burns coach, South Carolina Gamecock coach, who's now coaching up in Brentwood. I think this one's dicey. I went back and forth in my head. I'm going Greenville. I am interested to see how Greenville responds, though, after last week. What happened against T.O. the way T.O. ran that kick back with 3 seconds to go to win the game. Does that loom still in the mind of those Greenville players? I hope not, but I think it will be close. Give me the Red Raiders tonight.
If Nation 4 gets this one in, it will be because they did what well?
Well, I think it would be their air attack, their passing attack. They've been superb. Their quarterback's 2,000-plus passing quarterback this season. He's got 2,000-plus passing yards. Their air attack, the passing attack's been really good this year. And I think if they win tonight, I think it's because they just continue to pass the ball well and light up the scoreboard efficiently.
Right. Lost you there for a split second, Cole. Do we still have you?
Yeah, you got me now?
I got you loud and clear now. Let's move on to Riverside at Hillcrest.
This one's going to be, I think, one of the better games tonight. I do. Look, everybody else is predicting Hillcrest to win, and I think Hillcrest does win. But, man, Riverside's got a quarterback in Gideon Merritt that's just flat athletic. He's hard to bring down. He's hard to contain. He makes plays, Diesel. And in high school football, one special player can make games interesting. You know that. And I think Gideon Merritt tonight keeps this game interesting. On the other side, Jackson Free is incredible. I love the quarterback play that Hillcrest gets out of Jackson Free. He's a very unselfish player. Spreads the ball out really well to his receivers. Hillcrest Diesel this year has had 10 different receivers catch touchdown passes. So Jackson spreads the ball out tremendously. I think it'll be close, but I like Hillcrest to pull away late.
How about Emerald on the road at Fountain Inn?
Diesel, we talked about this last night on our Saturday Scramble preview show. This was an exceptional regular season game. Fountain Inn Emerald. I love what Brett Nichols has done. I love what Coach Dubose has done at Emerald. He spent 20 years as the defensive coordinator at Abbeville, so this guy knows defense. It was 35-31 during the regular season. Fountain Inn won. They came back, made a late rally. I like Fountain Inn tonight, but I think this one could be really, really close tonight. I think this might be one of the better games in the area tonight.
Interesting. Next up, Seneca hosting Lancaster.
Not much to talk about here. Seneca, Coach Crane, their offense, Diesel, has been sensational this year. You look across the upstate, there are a few teams that have consistently scored as many points as Seneca has. They're going to score a lot of points tonight, and they will beat Lancaster tonight. I don't think it'll be pretty.
Next up, you got Dreyer on the road at Daniel.
Again, same situation. This is going to sound repetitive, by the way, but I told you a minute ago, I expect some first-round blowouts tonight with everybody and their mama getting in. Daniel wins big tonight.
Okay, next up, Greer at Camden.
You know, Greer's had a good year, and they're battle-tested. They play extremely tough out-of-conference opponents, Diesel. But Camden plays a different brand of football. They're a little bit more physical than Greer, and I think that physicality wins tonight. I like Camden. I'm not saying this one gets ugly, but I think Camden will pretty much control this game from start to finish.
All right, next up, you got Westside hosting Pickens.
You know, Westside's come on as of late, Diesel. They started the season in a rough patch, 0-3, 0-4, something like that. But you fast forward, and guess what? Last Thursday night, Westside wins the region championship over Wren. So they're playing really good football right now. Brian Lane's got those guys playing well. Bear Woods, the quarterback, the younger brother of Cutter Woods, who was, at Westside, is starting to find some confidence. I like Westside tonight, and I think Westside takes care of business in a nice fashion. Give me Westside big.
All right, next up, you've got Blue Ridge at Red.
Man, this one's interesting just when you talk about, going back to something I said a minute ago, Diesel, special high school players can change a game, but when those special players don't play, it can negatively impact your team as well. And Brown, Wren's star running back, went down last week in that region championship game, and they were a different offense without him. Monte Brown. I don't know if he goes tonight. If he don't go, I think it could be closer. Blue Ridge could find some success, and maybe their defense could get Wren off the field a little bit more or a little bit quicker. But I still think Wren gets the job done. I just think ultimately keep an eye on this game tonight. This one could be interesting.
Next up, Carolina on the road at Powdersville.
Carolina shouldn't be in the playoffs. That end of story. Carolina should not be anywhere near the playoffs. Sorry, no disrespect, but it doesn't matter if they played you and I tonight, Diesel. It's going to be ugly.
Pendleton at Broome.
This one's going to be good. Change the narrative here. This one will be good. Pendleton, Broome. Broome's battle-tested. Pendleton is not nearly as battle-tested as Broome. This is the only game that Alex Guest and I are picking different opponents. Picking. I can't talk all of a sudden. This is the only game where Alex Guest and I are picking different winners, a different outcome. Alex is going Broome. I'll go Pendleton. I think this one's close. Broome's quarterback being out does shake things up for me if he's still if Derberry's still not a go, but I think this one could be close tonight. Give me Pendleton to win.
Next up, Union County at Crescent.
Union County shouldn't be in the playoffs. So again, simple as that. I try not to be disrespectful, but a one-win team has no business being in the postseason. They just don't, Diesel. So Crescent, name your score. Union County's terrible.
And Union County's a proud program.
They are.
You got to have faith that they'll bring this thing back, but this is just not their year.
And I don't know that they have the right coach. I probably shouldn't say that, but I think they need to make some changes. You're right. They're a proud program. You're right. There's no doubt that they should not be a one-win team, period.
Next up, St. Joseph's on the road at Mountain View Prep.
St. Joe's has had a good year, but Mountain View's a little bit different of an animal. Mountain View Prep's really good. We've seen what they've done all year. Diesel, we've talked to Gray Ramsey. Those guys, they just have talent at the skill positions that I don't know if St. Joe's will be able to contend with. I don't know if St. Joe's has the talent at those skill positions to go score for score with Mountain View Prep. Give me Gray Ramsey an MVP pretty big tonight.
Oh, remind me, we've got a question on the text line
for
you. We'll save that till the end. Texter, we'll be coming to your question here in just a minute. How about West Oak at Woodruff?
Same thing. West Oak shouldn't be in the 3A. So, Diesel, the 3A playoffs, every team in 3A makes the postseason. Every team. West Oak has no business being there. Woodruff could play their backups tonight and still win that football game. If I'm Brett Sloan or any team or any coach for that matter that's playing one of these opponents, I'm going to go up 21 tonight, and then I'm pulling everybody. This game does nothing for a team like Woodruff, but Woodruff wins big tonight.
Next up, maybe get some depth reps. How about Walhalla at Christ Church?
This one could be interesting. The reason I say that is Christ Church has been inconsistent this year. They just haven't put the good games together. They've had really good wins. They've had some tough losses, but when they win, they're not able to string that confidence together. They've got D1 guys over at Christ Church, and I think this could get interesting. I'm going to go Christ Church over Walhalla, but don't be surprised if this game, if you look at the score and think, man, Christ Church, this game was a lot closer than I thought it would be.
Next up, Palmetto at BHP.
Diesel, this one could, if Belton Honey, all kidding aside, if Belton Honeypath played their starters the entire game, they probably score 80 tonight. Again, 3A, this team shouldn't be in the playoffs. BHP, big tonight.
Next up, Chapman at Southside Christian.
Chapman's had a tough year, just one win on the season, Diesel, over Union County. Southside Christian, on the other hand, maybe one of the hotter teams in the upstate right now. They're coming off of a region championship. Those guys are playing with some serious mojo. And Southside Christian, let's just put this out there. They're a very good football team. They're not far removed from being at the top of their classification a few years ago when they were in a lower classification. Southside Christian gets it done tonight.
Next up, North Central at Clemson.
Same answer I gave you with BHP and Woodruff. Clinton rolls the Red Devils big tonight.
Makes you wish they would just reduce these playoffs by half.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have
you kind of just want to get through the first round because next week's going to be phenomenal. It really is.
Chesney at Fairfield Central.
Chesney, talking about inconsistency, up and down, roller coaster year for Chesney. They've had highs and they've had lows. Chesney has talent on their football team, and they just haven't been able to find that consistency. Fairfield Central's a good program. Chesney might keep this thing close for a little while tonight, but I will say, Diesel, this is a tough draw in round one for Chesney. I think Fairfield Central wins tonight.
Two more games, and then Texter, we're coming to your question. How about Blacksburg at Chester?
Blacksburg shouldn't be in the postseason. Chester wins by as many as they want to.
All All right, last one. Great Falls at Abbeville.
Abbeville wins by as many as they want to.
A lot of teams you have that same refrain about.
Yeah, and I knew that was going to be horrible radio, but I'm just telling you, I'll post the scores tomorrow or tomorrow morning on the website. You'll see, Tolos. You'll see. It's going to be a lot of blowouts tonight.
Oh, give me the most likely upset.
Ooh,
Like something that is not what you would consider to be basically a toss-up kind of game, but maybe something that if there were odds on this, you're talking about a 7 or 14-point game that you think might be an upset.
So, like, if Gaffney Eastside tonight, if there was a line on this game, Diesel, to your point, to answer your question, if there was a Vegas line on this game tonight, I think Gaffney would be favored by like 13.5 points. So a pretty big favorite, right? Not huge, but I think Gaffney would be a 13.5 point favorite over a team like Eastside. That's just me throwing something out there into the ether. Now, could Eastside win tonight? Eastside could win tonight because they've got dudes that play both ways that impact the game in a big, big way. And if Gaffney tonight gets in a tight game and Gaffney can't find the game breaker kind of guy, kind of like they had last year in Jamarcus Smith, who's now at James Madison, I could say that Eastside, like if Eastside won tonight, it wouldn't shock me, Diesel. So I think that to answer your question, that'd be the one I'd go to.
All right, let's get to our texter's question. He says, Cole, do you think any of the local high school upstate teams have a legit chance to win a state football championship this year besides Abbeville and 1A?
Yeah, it's a great question, texter. Woodruff does in 3A. They're really good. Belton Honeypath does in 3A. They're really good. Hey, Powdersville's really good. They're the number 1 overall seed in 3A. So, yeah, there's 3 right there. Powdersville can win a state championship. Woodruff can win a state championship. Belton Honeypath can win a state championship. South Point's probably going to win the 4A championship. And in 5A, you've got a good team in Burns, who's got one of the best running backs in the country in Trey Segura. You've got, in my mind, the most complete team in Dorman, who I think will be playing in the Upper State Championship against Dutch Fork. Dorman, yes, absolutely could win a state championship this year. I don't think I make no bones about it. I think Jake Morris has a really good team, and I think you'll see Dorman Dutch Fork in the Upper State Championship game, and I think Dorman could be playing for a state championship.
Cole, I know you clocked this. I don't think the Tolo ever came and spoke to us while we were on the air on Wednesday, but there was that one Tolo wearing the Dutch Fork T-shirt.
That's right.
It was standing there listening to the show
and
having a good time.
And if Burns wins, Burns on a bye tonight. Next week, they'll host the winner of Rock Hill Spring Valley, Diesel. If they win that game next Friday, we'll be on the road the following Friday at Dutch Fork.
Wow.
Yes, big game. It'll be tough. Be tough.
There you go. Those are Cole's Week 11, Round 1 of the high school playoff upset picks.
Yes.
You and Alex Guest differ, like you said, on just one pick. He's got some catching up to do. You've got him by 5 right now. So it's going to be tough. But maybe once you get into the second, third round of these playoffs, these games get a little tighter. He could catch up a little.
I think so. And by the way, Tolo's out there. Anybody listening, if you're going to a high school football game tonight, tag me on Twitter. I'd love to retweet your scores tonight at Cole Bryson. Shoot us a tag at the Fan Upstate as well. And tag us on Twitter tonight with some score updates, pictures of the games that you're at. We'd love to see those on Twitter.
Love it. Eric from Boiling Springs, he gets his upset pick in. Keep him coming to his Tolos, 844-326-3663. I'm going to grab this phone call real quick, Cole.
I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer this text I just saw from the 771. Texter says, Cole, how far can Burns go? Well, Texter, Burns is a really good team this year. They finished 6-3, 7-3. And I think ultimately when you talk about this year's Burns team, they can go as far as Trey Segura takes them. Now, you just heard me say, Texter, that they'll be playing, in my mind, at Dutch Fork if they win next Friday. Trey Segura is a good enough running back that he can keep that football team in a lot of games. Ultimately, I think they will run into some teams that are more complete than Burns. But again, Trey Segura is next level special. So if that guy continues to go on the kind of run and perform like he has, I think it could be big tonight.
Cole, let's hear from TA in Gaffney, who's got some questions for you about the high school playoffs. TA in Gaffney, go ahead.
Hey, man, I was going to ask about Trey Segura. Cole, what was his total rushing yards on the season?
Trey Segura, total rushing yards on the season, Tony. I will pull them up for you. Let's see here. I have them handy. I'll say this real quick while I'm pulling those up, TA. I am broadcasting from Gaffney, so I'll see you, Gaffney East Side. Let me do this. While I'm pulling them up, what are your thoughts on Gaffney East Side tonight?
Well, in the first game, Gaffney beat me by 40-35.
Sure.
And I think the score's a little misleading, but I also think that Eastside can score some points. They got an Anchorson kid that leads the team in rushing. He averages 92 yards a game, which put him over 1,000 for the season.
Yeah.
He's a middle linebacker. He goes both ways. He leads the team in tackles. He was right about 10 tackles a game. So this Eastside has, to me, too many players that have to play both
Sure.
ways.
I agree with that.
Which makes them vulnerable late in games when teams start to pull away from them. They're just too tired to catch up with them. And like Trey Segura, I watched the Burns game, as you well know, and see him every week. He's a next level.
He is.
He's so special. And the difference for the people that don't know, and I got to see Marcus Lattimore in his prime and in my prime, and Marcus Lattimore was a beast, but he was built differently. He had a big high front. He had long legs. He had really long arms. So he was strong. So he could stiff arm you. He didn't run a 4.39 or a 4.41. He just could outrun you and stiff arm you to the end zone.
Yeah.
And they're beating Segura, in my opinion, a little too much, but that's how you.
TA, he finished with 141 carries on the season, 1,237 yards, which is 1,237 yards, 16 touchdowns. He did not lead the region, and a large part of that's because the backup running back, Jacoby Fuller, had 113 carries and 500 yards on the season with 4 touchdowns. So Trey finished with 1,237, but the backup finished with 500.
But he's a junior. Trey Segura.
He is.
Junior, right?
That's right. Yes, sir.
Okay, so next year, I just know against Gas, he got like 33 or 35 balls. I mean, and I thought that was insane. I'm like, this kid's 15, 16 years old, and he's getting the ball 34 times in a high school game. So 5'8", and he shook it off. And I just wanted to verify one thing. Somebody told me he either played or he used to play soccer.
He did.
Is that accurate? So this kid is never going to get tired, number one.
He is an amazing athlete, TA. He did play soccer, and he was phenomenal. He was a phenomenal soccer player. So to your point, he is an exceptional athlete. Thanks for the call, TA. I'll see you in a little bit.
Yeah,
Appreciate you as always. Should be a good one tonight, Diesel, between Gaffney and Eastside.
Looking forward to it. And, of course, listen to the Saturday Scramble tomorrow morning at
8 a.m. We are live in Boiling Springs tomorrow.
Big-time guests lined up for the show,
man.
Sure, as well. When we come back, let us do our whip around the sports world, see what else is going on out there, peek over the fence a little bit in the Daily Wires.
522 guests on. That doesn't mean you can't send your upset picks. We need them all show. Flood them in. 844-326-3663. We need your name, the game, and the spread.
Don't forget, you don't want a -2 for this week. And as a matter of fact, Cole, coming up in the very next segment. Who do we got?
Smitty, Matt Smith, Sports Talk Media Network. He's the best, and we talk to Smitty next. Well, every single Friday at this time, we're joined by Matt Smith, Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network, to talk Clemson, to talk South Carolina, to talk anywhere else we may go, wherever we may venture, whatever road we decide to take a sharp left on. Smitty is gracious enough to join us every single Friday during football season. We love talking to Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network. Smitty, hope you're doing well, man. Look, we're going to get into Clemson. We're going to get into South Carolina, but I want to start by congratulating you on a World Series victory. You are a diehard Los Angeles Dodger fan, but I want to ask, can you make me feel better about one of my favorite baseball players, Smitty, and Freddie Freeman? And what I mean is, Freddie Freeman was an incredible Atlanta Brave, right? He won a world championship there. Braves fans adored Freddie Freeman. But my biggest concern and worry, Smitty, is that Freddie Freeman, a decade from now, when he's in the Hall of Fame, nobody will remember Freddie Freeman as an Atlanta Brave. I mean, you go back, and I'm going to throw a name at you. Reggie Jackson, Smitty, 9 seasons, a 6-time All-Star in Oakland. He won an MVP. They won 3 world championships in a row, but nobody remembers Reggie Jackson in his time in Oakland. They think Reggie Jackson, oh, New York Yankees. Is that going to happen with Freddie Freeman?
You're actually making me feel bad because I was a Freddie Freeman fan while he was in Atlanta Braves. I was telling him once as a Clemson, I loved his approach.
Yeah.
He was underrated defensively, made everybody around him better. It made everybody in the lineup around him better because he just did everything he wanted hitters to do out of the batter's box. And he could head fake run when he gets on. I always thought he was the consummate professional hitter. He was a guy that I don't know if he's going to be the best hitter if he's going to be a good pro. I don't think he's the best hitter this year, but over a 5-year stretch, he's the best hitter because he's going to, post the numbers, he's got anywhere in the lineup, and then he's also going to hit for a high average. He's going to take long. He's got a slow heartbeat. Absolutely club, which doesn't slow down. It's really been amplified for the Dodgers. But you have really hurt me because I look at Freddie Freeman and I see what Houston, which is the script, the 2 separate careers, which is probably what Reggie Jackson took this ring thought. They thought, well, Reggie Jackson will always be remembered as something age and the Yankees.
Right.
And you're right. When the highlights come on, it's all Yankees.
Yep.
3 home runs to the Braves against the Dodgers. They stuff the skip out. Then they were trying to double up on first base. Starting to check the ball. It's all Yankees all the time. And this is a guy, you laid it out. This time also, 3 consecutive world championships with the Oakland Athletics.
Yeah.
That's a career.
Right.
That's Fred DeVoe's career, right? I mean, that's the good Fred DeVoe ever would have done right there. And we don't even believe that he's fully inclined every game and then fully committed and everyone's different. I'm looking for, look, Freddie Freeman won a World Series with the Braves. And Atlanta is not a backwater baseball team. As big as the Dodgers are, as big as they are probably in your mind right now, because we're living in a moment where they just want to check the World Championship. Atlanta's big. I mean, that's America's team for a lot of people. I think Freddie Freeman will be remembered as a Brave because it's not the dream. It's not the parent. It's a big, big, big franchise. But you're right about one thing. When the highlight reels come on, Freddie Freeman now has 2 walk-off home runs, 1 a grand slam, and one of them and another one to close out an 18-inning marathon. And then the Dodgers won those business.
Right.
And if one of them is taken. So, yeah, I think he'll be remembered as a Brave, but I think he'll be more remembered as a Dodger. And I honestly, I don't feel, as a Dodger fan, I don't feel good about that because I think Freddie Freeman belongs to the Braves fan tonight. I'm sure.
Smitty, you can collect all those tears, all those crocodile tears inside the trophy that you're hauling
That's right.
around. Come on. Come on. That is laying it on thick. Smitty, maybe you've heard of this person I'm about to bring up. Have you ever heard of Sir Isaac Newton? Great guy, made a fortune in physics. He had a statement that says, "What goes up must come down." But unfortunately, I don't know that that's the case when it comes to coaching salaries in college football. They just keep going up. But we're seeing something really interesting happening right now. We're seeing the schools that are traditionally the have-nots, that have more than others, but traditionally are have-nots, they're circling the wagons. They're protecting their own. Brent Key came out and said, "Cut me, see what color I bleed." He's basically saying, I'm not leaving Georgia Tech. I'm not going anywhere. We know what happened with Signetti at Indiana and Matt Rule at Nebraska. So, there's still the LSU job sitting open. There's still the Florida job sitting open, Penn State, Arkansas, a lot of big high-profile jobs out there. In any way, shape, or form, could you see what's happening at those schools in their own microcosm being a market correction on where they go with their salaries, or are they going to have to pay somebody an even more exorbitant amount of money to take that job? Do you see the salaries ever coming back down to a level that makes sense, or will this thing only go one direction, which is up?
This is actually a very good discussion. Now, I do think what you're saying, I'm going to change your question a little bit. Because the short answer to your question is I do think salaries will continue to climb. Okay, I do believe that. But I think you're making an excellent point, which is like Mark Lee at Vanderbilt and Brent Key and other schools like this that may be able to hold on to their coaches for a variety of reasons. It might be alma mater, might be the right fit. And it's what I've always believed, that the athletic directors at schools so far too frequently do they go after the hot name instead of looking for the right long-term fit. When you hire a mercenary, well, here's what you've done. You've already admitted that they're a mercenary, which means if you're no longer the top gun, the highest paid job, they're gonna wipe their feet on you and take the next highest paid job because you've already agreed on that that's how you hire and that's why they took the job. I think you've got to look for the right fit. I think what I do think will change, however, to your question, what might change is I do think there are going to be more and more contracts written in a way that are advantageous to the schools. And let me give you an example. I can't remember where this contract where I saw this, but I know that there's one coach out there has in his contract that if he leaves to take another job, he cannot recruit any of the players that were on his team. Because this is what we see, right? Huh. Then the Getty goes to Indiana, then he gets a lot of transfers to James Madison. The Lane Kiffin took the Florida or LSU job, you know, now exited for Ole Miss, then to went up to school, he was taking the job. Matt Rule to Penn State, all the examples. So I think what you're going to see is, I think every system has turned against those buyouts. Those buyouts are ridiculous. We all agree with that, especially if there's nothing attached to the grid. There's no, but it's just like, yeah, you're going to get $53 million unless you get another job or whatever. Like, this is ridiculous. And we all agree it's ridiculous. I mean, the agents know it's ridiculous. I think they've got to wrap their arms around that. But as far as salary, like, the Devil Sweeney keep the man $8 million a year or whatever it is. If he took a new job, say somebody came after it, it would just be 10 or 12. But I do think in the contract, the mechanics of the contract, we're going to see those things change, and they're going to try to prevent some of the exodus of the coach doing the job, or they're going to try to limit those buyouts a little bit. So I do think there's a market correction coming. I just don't think it's going to fill out.
Matt Smith, Smitty of Sports Talk Media Network, joining us right here on the Fan Upstate. Smitty, we appreciate you as always, man, and we can't tell you that enough. But I want to have a really serious conversation here as to why someone can't do something. I want you to put your thinking cap on. 3 times in a row now, Shane Beamer has shown us that he cannot hire a successful offensive coordinator. Serious question. not throwing shade or anything like that, or saying Beamer's not the right guy. Why? In your mind, why hadn't Beamer been able to get it right? Is it South Carolina? Is it just the reality of coaching in Columbia, South Carolina? Everybody wants to know why, Smitty.
He would not like this answer that I'm going to give.
Well, let me text him and tell him to turn it off. Hold on. All right, you're good.
I know he's an avid listener.
Yes.
And he would not want to hear this. And look, I've never coached football, so look, we can all agree with that. Shane Beamer knows more about football than I ever will. We can start there. Okay. But my humble opinion is, and it's actually it's going to echo some things that I've said to you before. What evidence do we have when he took the job and he knew how to hire an offensive coordinator? He came in with no playbook. He came in with ideas as to how to run a program. He grew up around groundbreaking head coaches. Obviously, his father was one. He coached Oklahoma. He coached at Mississippi State. He was a very accomplished coach, if not a great record, because that's where he was. But he was around, and he came in and he said, "Look, I can be the CEO of this program. I will know what to do." But one of the things the CEO must be is that he's got to go out and make the proper hires around himself with the right. And Shane Beamer crowed a lot about Dallas August and the success they had offensively in the last year. I never really bought into it. I'm still not convinced at this moment to this day Dallas August is a brilliant offensive play caller. I'm not convinced. I don't know that to be true.
Diesel would agree, by the way.
What's that?
I said Diesel would agree, by the way, after last night. Sorry.
I never saw it. I saw Little Sellers develop. I saw Spencer Rattler develop. So somebody gets some of that credit, yeah. But I'm not convinced it's like somehow they were crafty and the Dallas August was just out coaching completely the defense coordinator. Yeah, I just thought they had two really good quarterbacks. One of them's in the NFL, the other one's Rocky Jordan. But Shane Beamer did not come in with a playbook. He didn't come in with an offensive background.
Yeah.
That he said, okay, this is how I want offense to look. So when he hires a guy, they take that shape. They become that offense. They were the Dallas August offense. Well, now they're the Mike Shore offense. Now they're going to be the Mike First offense. And Shane Beamer has not yet proven that he has strong, firm ideas. Is he a run first guy? Is he a power spread guy? Is he a quarterback run guy? I don't know. He's kind of a combination of whoever his offensive coordinator is. And look, this is not all bad because there's some Luke Fickell as it was constant. He doesn't have an offensive identity, right? He could be forward defensive coordinator. You don't have to have that. But I do think at some point you have to have strong ideas about what you want your program to do. What do you want them to look like? What identity do you want to take on? And you know that, and then you hire the coordinator that goes with that identity. And so far, for the opposite, Shane Beamer has hired someone, and then the identity has been that offensive coordinator, whatever it might be. And that's just my take, my business take. I'd like to see it change, and maybe Shane Beamer does have strong ideas about what he wants his offense to look like. But as of yet, all the evidence that we have points to the fact that the offense has simply been run by his coordinator, and Shane Beamer has had his hands on a lot of other things, especially, but not specifically offense back there.
So, Smitty, how do you believe the process of vetting whoever that next offensive coordinator might be? Maybe it's Mike Furry. Maybe they come out and they look amazing over the next couple of weeks. Maybe they don't. What should the process be to help Shane Beamer get it right? I mean, are we talking search firm? Are we talking Jeremiah Donati being much more hands-on? He's a fundraiser. He's not a football guy. So what should that process look like if the track record to this point shows that Shane Beamer is not the most adept at making that hire? Who should be involved that hasn't been used before?
Well, he has to. But that's the job. That's the job description. Shane Beamer has to be the one that speaks out what he wants and then makes it happen. Just like the great recruiter. And he is a great recruiter. He's got to go get his man, whoever that is. I doubt he's going to nothing against Mike Murray. It's just that he doesn't look. Devin Sweet is best. We talked about this with Brent Venables. Brent Venables did not come in, and with Devin Sweeney, and say to Devin Sweeney, I'm going to run his defense, and then Brent Venables brought his playbook. So Shane Beamer has to go out and find his guy, whomever it might be, and be willing to swallow his pride and hire somebody who's going to get some headlines. And I don't know who that is. I don't know who that would be. But I know Gavin Sweeney did not win a lot of games at big time, the highest level until Brent Venables joined, and then he started to get a lot of credit. We talked about it before. Bobby Bowden on Mickey Hendricks, defense coordinator. Frank Beamer and Bud Foster. Shane Beamer's got to find his guy, whoever that is, that can elevate them to the next level. I don't think anybody believes, if anybody who ever spoke to him believed that Mike Shooter was going to be that kind of hire, was going to be that kind of guy. I think everybody thought that there's a placeholder. He's already there. We're just going to try to get through this with the North Zone. I think it's time that Shane Beamer says, hey, let's dedicate resources. I want to go out and get D-May.
That's right.
And I don't know who it is. I'm not giving you names. I'm just telling you, whoever Shane Beamer, when he dreams at night of what his offense is supposed to look like, go find the guy that can make that happen. You've got to do that because that's where South Carolina is as a program. The time to tread water, that goes, we're a three-way team right now. Don't tread water. You go hard, fast, spend money. The guy wants to see if you can make this happen.
So, Smitty, with that being said, before we get to Clemson, it's safe to say this hire is make or break for Shane Beamer, and the win total in 2026 must be.
I don't know that you can put a win total on it, but I do agree that this is a big hire because think about what you just said. Shane Beamer as well, he's already hired 3 offensive coordinators. Is that correct?
That's correct. This will be number 4.
Okay, this will be number 4. Can you imagine Shane Beamer firing a 4th offensive coordinator
No.
and everybody could say, well, that's the way it is? No, I do. It's likely that the next person to get this job will, his destiny and Shane Beamer's destiny will be tied together. That when this next offensive coordinator leaves, if he's fired, if he were to be fired, it would be the expectation that, look, we're not near that. We're not near guys we've been hiring, whoever it is. But the point is, yes, the destiny will be tied together. Absolutely positively. This is an enormous hire for Shane Beamer because can you imagine the North Zone coming and going to South Carolina and the offense looks like this the whole time, like 125 yards passing per game? Can't happen. The fans won't want to put up with that. I don't blame them. They should put up with that. That shouldn't happen in South Carolina. All of this has to look better. It's a big hire.
Smitty, in his press availability this week, Dabo Sweeney said it's not stubbornness, it's conviction. And that's probably something a lot of Clemson fans, some really enjoy, some are a little bit nervous about that. But, to us, it's clear that Dabo's got to make a change in the way he does his things. So, in a very simple, Dabo does nothing on one side. Dabo goes full portal, full pay-for-play NIL, which we know he's not going to do, or some sort of hybrid in the middle that kind of allows him to dabble more in the portal and more in NIL, but do it his way. What in your mind does that kind of look like?
I think what he's going to do is, and by the way, Clemson pays his players through NIL. Sure. So it's not as if that's not happening. They've lost already, I think, 3 of their losses right now in some teams that have lower NIL distribution. So it's not as if players aren't getting their fair share. They are. But I do think he's going to explore the portal a little bit more. And to me, that's not what this is. I still think this is blocking and tackling. I think the game. Their secondary was completely wrong against this. The guys in the portal that are going to come up better than that, with Princeton got better. Those guys have been, in some program. I know Tom Allen's the defensive coordinator there, but why are their heads not straight on straight? Why can't they stay with 6 receivers? Why can't they throw extra 2 guys? Garrett Riley was a red hot day, and that didn't work until this past week. So let's remember, this does not have the defensive talent that Clemson has on top of him to stay with those guys. And Tom Allen is a big-time thing for Pittsburgh, big-time thing. And he comes in at Clemson, and his defense looks worse to go forward to West Virginia. I don't think it's, but I do think, but yes, what is going to change? What is going to change? I think the Cole alluded to this last week. You were right, I was wrong, Cole. I agree. Garrett Riley. I think he could save the job with the great performances. They're both great performances, but I'm coming around more to now. I think many coaches are going to find around the country. That kind of coordinator is going to be dropping like flies. It's just put stuff last week. But what's going to change? I think that was for the dipped his toe into the transfer portal last year. I think take whatever 4, 5, 6 guys this go around. I think they got to go out and get a running back.
Yes.
I just think he's not going to want to do that. Go into a season with unproven Adam Randall, not ready to get to Davidson. Now, I don't know. Maybe all that will change to the point of if he doesn't go get a running back, it'll be some other position. And I think you're going to see Clemson start 2, 3, 4 transfer portal guys next year. And then that was really will talk himself into it. They just say, hey, these are the right kind of guys. That's what we were looking for. They fit right into the family, and the business is useful. The outside will say, oh, wow, he goes to himself up the transfer portal. But internally, they'll say it's still the Clemson. That's right.
Smitty, can you help me with this? I agree with what you said, and I think there's a correlation here. You talked about Garrett Riley and Tom Allen, and both good coordinators. Why is it not working out at Clemson? Well, I can tell you my reasoning, and I would ask you, who'd Garrett Riley bring with him when he got the job? Well, who'd Tom Allen bring with him when he got the job? And your answer would be, he didn't. He's pretty much working with Dabo's good old boy assistant program. So when you talk about Smitty, when you talk about talent evaluation, I think there's a correlation, and bear with me for a second, at the low-level assistants that are underneath the coordinators not properly being able to help the head coach evaluate talent because Dabo brought in who he wanted to bring in, who were Clemson guys, nobody that was going to push back on any talent evaluation. And I agree with you on the point of Sammy Brown's not going to be replaced. But Dabo Sweeney, Smitty, just a few months ago told the entire world that one of the big reasons they don't go get portal guys is because a lot of those portal guys aren't good enough to play at Clemson. So there's some sort of gap. Somebody has missed the mark in talent evaluation, and I think that ties directly to assistant coaches not being able to help the head coach know how to properly evaluate talent. Am I wrong?
You know, this is a real nuanced conversation. But yeah, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. And it's a nuanced conversation. I'm actually going to take it in a slightly different direction. And I don't know, like who to blame, position by position. Because, look, Kate Clemson coming out, big time recruit. We all 3 levels of football defense is full of guys that were highly regarded recruits, right? My colleagues still formally they talk about stars, but these are blue chip guys. These are 4-star guys, right? On offense, who did you want? Well, I was there. I saw him play right through. Everybody wanted Adam Randall. Everybody wanted Antonio Williams out of Dutch Ford.
Sure.
They got him. Kate Clemson, elite level quarterback. Who didn't want Kate Clemson? The answer is nobody. Not a damn program did not want to offer Kate Clemson and have him on campus. Clemson got it. I don't think it's as much as you said talent evaluation. I'm actually going to twist the dial on that just a little bit. I think it's development.
I like that.
Is better today than he was 2 years ago?
No.
Are the Clemson receivers better today than they were a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, 2 weeks ago? The Clemson's defensive backfield, do they look better 2 years ago or this year?
It's a good point.
I think it's development. I think the raw materials were there.
Yeah.
And for some reason, these guys did get better. And you're right, though. I'm not going to name them because I don't know. I don't go to practice. But you're right on the money, Cole, when you say all built on the foundation of the guys that are your position.
That's right.
That'll get those players every single day. And the teams that are winning, the ones that are top 10 in college football, are the ones who are competing at that level. Monday through Thursday on the practice field. And Clemson is not. Oh, I can't argue with it all. I just want to use the word kind of develop.
Yeah, I like that.
Smitty, we are going to come back to you for your upset pick here in just a minute. But my last question for you, and I want to ask you a big picture question because I know you're going to have a strong opinion on this. Okay, a deal fell through that would have sent the barn burner matchup of Michigan versus Western Michigan in Frankfurt, Germany, brought that game back to Ann Arbor, Michigan, and they're just going to play it on campus. Ward Manuel said that they did a thorough and exhaustive evaluation, but decided to keep the game stateside. What are your thoughts on that? And just generally speaking about, some of these programs trying to send more and more American college football games overseas, thus screwing the local fans that are the lifeblood of college football.
Yep. Well, Chris Bergen, another one of my colleagues does sports talk with, he jumps up and down. He doesn't want anything on college campus. He doesn't even want to do the kickoff on the land. He just wants college teams to visit other colleges.
Did we lose you, Smitty? Do we have you? I think we lost you. Now we got you back.
I was going to say, he makes a pretty good point when you see the frenzied atmosphere on college campuses every Saturday for college football. I know why they're doing it. I'm a Golden Sport, all of those things. I know Notre Dame goes to Ireland, all those things that are important to the kids. But if you ask me, I love them on. You want to go somewhere exotic? How about this? South Carolina and Miami just canceled the series with each other. If South Carolina hasn't been on like Miami or Florida, that would be exciting. More of those, let's go for them.
Smitty, upset pick?
I'm going, by the way, I'm going to brag here. I got another one last week, got FSU. So, guys, maybe I'm tell me if you want. Feeling good. Upset pick, I'm going with Missouri. I know they're down a quarterback, but to me, Mizzou's one of those teams that are built on quarterback play. But Missouri is going to upset Texas A&M. It's such a hard place to play, such a strange place to play. Weird things happen at Mizzou. I know how well Texas A&M is played. I just feel like the Texas A&M play this well every single week. They can't hold the road for 10, 11, 12 games. I think they're right for an upset, and I think Mizzou has the run game and the defense and the atmosphere for it.
Smitty, you're the man. Always appreciate you, man. Thank you for going a little long with us today, and we will talk to you next week, buddy.
Absolutely. You kiss that pretty what you got there behind.
Smitty, Sports Talk Media Network. Make sure you follow his work. Does a fantastic job, and so much appreciate him joining us on the show.
Such good stuff, Cole. We didn't have a chance to get to him earlier, and we have a ton of Daily Wires, so let's do that next. Our Daily Wires whip around the sports world on the other side of the break on Fan Up State. You know, Cole, it was Snoop Dogg who said, with so much drama in the LBC, it's kind of hard being Snoop D-O-double-G. Well, there's so much drama in the LBC. There's so much happening out there in the sports world. We have a whip around segment where we get to all of it, called our Daily Wires. The buzz happening around the sports world last night in the NFL. The Denver Broncos defeated the Raiders 10-7. Wild finish, weird score considering Denver on paper so much better, but they got the win. They're 8-2 on the season. Vegas falls to 2-7.
Yeah, shootout. I mean, everybody loves a 10-7 game, right? My gosh, that's brutal.
Barn burner for satellite streaming
Right.
TV on a Thursday. Former NFL star Antonio Brown, Cole, just keeps getting worse and worse with his story. He was arrested on an attempted murder charge stemming from a May shooting after a celebrity boxing match in Miami. We talked about that when it happened. Police confirmed that he was taken into custody in Dubai by U.S. Marshals.
And now he's going bye-bye because he can't, keep his head on straight. You hate to see that for a guy that had every opportunity to be one of the best receivers in the National Football League and throwing all of it away for what? It's sad.
It's true. Tolos tomorrow morning. Make sure you're tuning in at 8 a.m. for the Saturday Scramble. You can find them on Twitter at Fan Scramble. Cole's going to be all over tonight's high school action on tomorrow morning's show.
And I want to say, if you want to hear a preview of tonight's games, follow us on Fan Scramble. We did last night an hour-long podcast, the Saturday Scramble Playoff Extravaganza. It's about an hour and 8 minutes while you're getting ready for tonight's games. Me, Alex Guest, Trey Stewart of Greer Sports News, Brock Hamrick of the Cherokee Chronicle and WZZQ. It was about an hour and 8 minutes of us previewing tonight's game. So if you want to check that out and you're a high school football fan, you can on Twitter at Fan Scramble.
Tonight, Cole, they're calling it, what do they call it, the space game? The game between Houston and UCF. Houston hasn't won in what they are dubbing the space game, the outer space game. I forget the exact name of it. But because Houston and Orlando are so tied to all of the space exploration.
I like it.
That's why they call it that. That game is tonight. Northwestern is at USC, and Tulane is at Memphis.
Decent college football, maybe? Decent. We'll see.
Yeah,
we'll see.
Cubs outfielder Kyle Tucker and Phillies DH Kyle Schwarber headline 13 players who were tendered the $22.025 million qualifying offer on Thursday. Players who are tendered the qualifying offer have until November 18th to accept or reject their one-year deal. Next up, Cole, Georgia Tech's Brent Key has basically taken his name out of the running for any available coaching jobs out there. He said emphatically, quote, "Slice me open and see what colors I bleed." He said this at a Georgia Tech press conference.
I love to see that, though, man. Like, what's loyalty gone to in today's world, right? There's not much of it. And is Georgia Tech going to win a national championship year in and year out? No, but I love the loyalty. I love Brent Key.
I don't know if he feels like there's still unfinished business there at Georgia Tech because, one great season does not a great program make. But maybe he feels like he's got some more work to do. And if he can sustain something for a couple of years, he can leave that program in a better place. Or maybe he stays at Georgia Tech for his entire career. That's what a novel concept that is nowadays. Just one top 25 matchup tonight in men's college basketball. We got number 19 Kansas at number 25 North Carolina. Tar Heels favored by 2.5 in that ball game. Also, coming up tonight, Clemson faces Gardner-Webb at 7 o'clock. And at 7 o'clock, you will hear Furman hosting Troy. The pregame show will start at 6:30 with our friends over at Furman on the call here at 6:30 on the Fan Upstate. Tip-off at 7.
I like it. Dan Scott, get ready. Yep. Let's bring it home. Bring home the win tonight.
The Florida Gators made history last night, putting 7'9" center Oliver Rue into the game, making him the tallest player to ever play in an NCAA basketball game.
Did you say 7'9"?
Yeah, that's like 2 of you, Cole.
It really is. I mean, that is unbelievable.
He is also officially listed as the world's tallest teenager.
I want to watch him. I want to watch. When's Florida? I mean, how do I watch Florida basketball? My gosh.
Doctors confirmed via an x-ray that Jaden Daniels suffered no ligament damage in his dislocated elbow following an injury in Sunday's loss to the Seahawks. He'll be reevaluated in the bye week following their Week 11 matchup against Miami in Madrid. But that's good news for Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, it is. You just look at the season. They've struggled recently. You've got to have a guy like that on the field and quickly.
Yeah. A couple more daily wires here for you. Bears wide receiver Rome Odunze is distancing himself from some negative comments his dad made on social media, criticizing the Bears for not throwing the ball his way enough. In a win, by the way. James Odunze reposted a message on social media that asked whether the Bears would trade Rome to a team that will actually throw it to him. Another post declared that the receiver, quote, should be seeing at least 10 targets per game. Rome replied to this publicly by saying, obviously he has his opinions and I have mine. And he feels like he needs to voice those things on social media, but that's his prerogative. He speaks for himself. I speak for myself.
Oh, LaMelo Ball all over again. Don't you love it?
Yeah. Earlier this week, a video went viral of a father breaking the news to his two sons that Sauce Gardner had been traded to the Colts, prompting the boys to break into tears. We've all seen that video. It's sad, but it's funny at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, Sauce and the Colts responded by posting a video of him autographing 2 jerseys and then sending them to the boys, who say that they like the Colts now.
Oh, it was that easy, huh?
It was that easy
Okay.
to get 2 new Colts fans. How about that? Who knew? Free stuff makes you a fan.
Yeah.
Wow. And last one here for you. Tolos, we need your upset picks. What are you waiting on? There's just about 2 hours left in the show. And this is a reminder, we are off at 6:30, which means we are stopping taking upset pick entries at 6:30. So get them in before 6:30, would you?
You better do it. You better do it because you don't want to be that guy that forgot to get your upset pick in. Diesel, let's take a look at what the Carolina Panthers have in front of them this weekend. The Saints are in town in the CLT. Can the Panthers continue their winning ways? We'll talk about it next.
He's ready to win. He's in a good place from a fan lifestyle.
Can Carolina continue their winning ways? They're 5-4 on the season, 3-1 at home, a pretty good home record. And Diesel hosting a New Orleans Saints team that's 1-8 on the year, 0-4 on the road. It really hadn't mattered where the Saints have played. New Orleans, anywhere else, they've been pretty pathetic. Again, only one win on the season. And Carolina, man, has a chance to continue to build this momentum. I love the way, Diesel, that this team responded after that dragging in Charlotte a couple of weeks ago by the Buffalo Bills. You had all kidding aside, man, like that could have been the turning point where this program, this franchise starts to go back on that decline, but they didn't let that bother them. I mean, I love the way they've responded.
No, it is shown to be a slow and steady climb. And, when we were talking to Bone from the Mac and Bone show on Wednesday, I asked him, is this an opportunity to, especially with the trade deadline, being earlier this week, was it an opportunity to maybe come off of that strategy, which has been draft and develop?
Sure.
And they didn't make a move. They could have made a move. They could have spent some money and gotten themselves blanking on Asante Samuel, but they didn't do that. They chose to keep the money in-house, keep the money in their pocket, save it, use it a year from now or the year after that, and then they'd be really primed and in a position to be really good. So I'm pleasantly surprised and proud of Dave Tepper, Dave Canales, and Dan Morgan for staying the course, and it's paying off because if you can get these wins that you don't expect to get with the guys that you are drafting and developing, then that tells me you are on the really right developmental path.
And you have a chance to do what the Panthers haven't done and Dave Canales hasn't done. I mean, you're talking about having an opportunity midway through November and really early November to get your sixth win. And I know a lot of fans out there will laugh, but guys, this is an organization that 6 wins seems like 6. You can go that high, in the win totals. Yeah, you can. And the Panthers at home, they're a 5.5-point favorite, Diesel, in Charlotte. We know that the Spencer Rattler experiment didn't go well. Tyler Shuck, not much better, I don't think. Kellen Moore, first-year head coach. You are welcoming in a franchise that is in as much disarray as any other NFL franchise right now. And I know that you've got a lot of weapons out there, and you want to spread the ball, you want to get Ted McMillan involved, yada, yada, yada. To me, this is a game where you just say, look, Diesel, we're at home. We've been really good at home. Hopefully the Saints won't take over the stadium the way the Buffalo fans did. This is a game where you just hand the ball off to the guy who is third in rushing in the NFL. You hand the ball off. You take the pressure off of Bryce Young. You let Rico Dowdle go do what Rico Dowdle's continue to do this year. And I think if you don't outsmart yourself, you don't get cute, you don't try to do stupid stuff, just play safe, do what you do well. And I think the Panthers, after Sunday, are going to find themselves 6-4 on the season.
Ooh, what a wild thought. And, what I do like about them not making a move at the trade deadline is that then sets them up with the possibility of paying Rico Dowdle, a guy who deserves it, right? You don't want to let that guy get away from it because you don't want to see him across the field beating you for another team in a year or two down the road. So Rico Dowdle has shown himself to be really good running back, best running back on the roster right now.
No doubt.
Even though he's not Chuba Hubbard that they're paying all that money to, you got to figure out a way to keep that guy in-house. And them not making a move at the deadline maybe frees up the cash for them to do that.
Hey, I'll tell you what else it does. It helps morale in terms of, whoa, guys. We brought a player to Charlotte, and he's playing better in Charlotte than he has anywhere else. Usually, Diesel, it's the opposite, where a player leaves Charlotte and goes to another franchise, a la Sam Darnold, a la Baker Mayfield, and then they start, whoa, we're changing the narrative here. Maybe this is a little bit more of attractive of a free agent destination because we see Rico Dowdle came in from Dallas, and this guy's lighting it up. I think that's a big piece of it.
Sure. I I like anytime you can send a message to your team that we reward performance and we are loyal to those who perform for us. And that to me is a huge message because, players who are not on the Carolina Panthers roster, they will look at that. They will see that. They'll say, oh, well, Rico went in there and he was their best running back. And they sold him back off.
Yeah. Real quick.
Like, why would I want to go to Carolina? I want to have some stability. If I'm going to go there, I want to be there for a couple of seasons at least.
That's right. Real quick before we run to a break, Diesel, Percy a few minutes ago got in and said, Cole Diesel, remember the one-word description a couple of weeks ago for Clemson? Undeveloped. That's on him and the coaches, and I'm a Clemson fan. Good text, Percy. You're right. I do remember you bringing that up. A lot of Tolos getting in their upset picks. Coop and Greer gets in. Coop must be my new favorite Tolo because he brings up my favorite thing in the world. Coop says, has Cole had any time to hunt this year? We need a hunting update. Well, Coop, glad you brought that up because you're right. These beautiful, cool evenings like tonight where I would love to be, sitting in the woods right now, I'm at work. I'm on a job. I'm on the job. Can't do it. Can't hunt while you're at work, right? Fortunately, Coop and Greer, I have had a lot of opportunities to go in the morning, especially this week and the past couple of weeks. So, yes, I've been in the woods a lot this year. Passed on a lot of deer. I've shot one pretty good buck, but I have passed on a lot of deer so far. Hadn't really filled up the freezer much, but yes, to answer your question, I'm going to make time to get in the woods. You better believe that.
Cole, when we come back, let's do our Friday regular weekend menu. I don't know if you are able to watch sports at this point.
Stop.
If you're having to get out the old antenna television,
I've got an FM radio.
But let's get to our weekend menu, the tastiest game from a national perspective in each time slot of the day. That's coming up next. Well, I love doing this segment every week because it is a great way to talk about games from a national perspective, not just what is locally interesting and entertaining right here. But the problem is it always makes me really hungry because we're doing it here at this 5 o'clock stretch. That means, we've been on the air for 2 hours, an hour more or more before that was when we actually got to eat lunch. So now we're 3 hours after a meal, and it makes me feel like I'm kind of ready for a little snack.
Yeah, and it used to be like hypothetical because it was, what if you only could watch one game? I don't like this segment anymore because now you can't. If you're like me,
you can't watch any game.
And by the way, just an update, I still have not switched. As of today, I still have YouTube TV, and I've been scrolling Twitter looking for an update. I've seen all kind of like fake rumors out there, but I don't know. Here's what's scary about this whole thing with YouTube TV and ESPN. I don't know that there's a end in sight here. I don't know that YouTube TV and ESPN do reach an agreement, and I haven't seen anything that shows that there's good news. So a lot of Tolos have texted in and said, go to Hulu TV. I don't know what the answer is, and maybe tonight or tomorrow I do switch over. But I am very, very close. I gave them way too long. I gave them way too long to get their crap together, but unfortunately, and I would love to hear from Tolos on what they've done in terms of switching Diesel. I'm in a tough spot.
So thus far, you've been unwilling to vote with your wallet and tell YouTube TV where they can stick
that's
it
correct.
by canceling your account.
But I just thought they would come around. You see these holdouts all the time, right?
Yeah.
And I thought, they'll reach an agreement. YouTube TV's not. I mean, everybody has gotten rid of YouTube TV now, and I thought they'd say, it's a math thing. Think about it like this, Diesel. If you're losing all these subscribers, take all that money you've lost from the subscribers, add it up, and say, okay, would it have been cheaper in the long run just to reach a deal with ESPN if you multiply those subscriber fees times 3 because most people are going to have it for the next 3? I don't know, but my gosh, I thought they would eventually come around.
Yeah, it's a tough spot because, you just want to watch football games.
I know it.
But you can't watch football games because one giant corporation is fighting another giant corporation. And, of course, it's because one just wants the other to pay a little bit more money.
Hurricane,
not a fun place to be.
Hurricane Jeff on the text line says, check out Sling and compare it to Hulu. So I don't even know what Sling is. Sling. Is it an app?
Sling is kind of like an older version of YouTube TV. It was a way to kind of bring all these apps together into one.
My buddy Brandon just texted me and said Hulu TV has a thing going on right now. You can get Hulu TV and ESPN Plus for $65 a month for 3 months. And, yeah, you know what? Smart marketing on Hulu TV's part, right? Because everybody's jumping off the bandwagon. Hey, here's a great deal right now. So I guess as of tomorrow morning, I might be a Huluer. Is that – I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to figure out how and when you will finally make that decision. But Cole, let's jump into it. Our weekend menu. This is when we go day part by day part. The general noon, 3:30, 7 o'clock, and 10 p.m. time slots of college football to try to find the tastiest single game of each day part. If you can only watch one game at a time, which one would get your attention? Cole, I got 3 games for your consideration for the noon time slot.
Yeah.
And this weekend is not the most blockbuster-heavy weekend of college football. All the good teams are playing, just most of them aren't playing anybody that's all that good. So let's go with number 1. Number 2, Indiana at Penn State. Could they mash down the thumb on Penn State just a little bit farther? You got number 5, Georgia at Mississippi State, who has been a game football team, even though their record doesn't necessarily show it. And then also in the noon time slot, and I'm pretty sure this is going to be your answer, number 7, BYU, number 8, Texas Tech. Which one do you think has the most value nationwide?
Why didn't you throw Southern Miss, Arkansas State in there? I mean, what are we doing? Sun Belt, 12 o'clock. It's interesting because you're right. I did take BYU, Texas Tech for my upset pick. I'll say Diesel, Georgia, Mississippi State in that 12 o'clock window. It does interest me. I have a hard time deciding here. Indiana, Penn State's intriguing because Penn State's 0-5 in conference play, And I thought that spread would be a little bit bigger than it is. Penn State is a 14.5-point underdog, Diesel, to Indiana. And Penn State's not good. And, every year there's one team that fires their coach that has that one, rebound game where they play outside of themselves and they win a game they're not supposed to. That ain't happening Saturday against Indiana. It's just not. Fernando Mendoza's way too good. I think they'll cover, don't you? 14.5 points.
Yeah.
I would feel good about that.
They're going to smoke Penn State. But Penn State does have talent on that team.
They do.
I think this could be that game that if Indiana is not on their P's and Q's, this could be a decently close game late in the third quarter. And it might get a lot of people to tune in and watch late, but I don't think we're going to get to that point because Indiana is just scoring in droves on everybody.
Hey, and same thing, though, with Georgia, Mississippi State. If that game's close late, same thing you just said, people could tune in at 2:30 and say, oh, man, Georgia's only up 3, at Mississippi State or something like that. I don't know if I've ever said this, but BYU is the most intriguing of those. And it sounds crazy, right? Georgia, Mississippi State, Penn State, Indiana. I think BYU, Texas Tech's the most intriguing there on ABC. Texas Tech's a 10.5-point favorite. It's a number 7 versus a number 8. One team's undefeated. One team in Texas Tech's one loss. It's a quality loss. Texas Tech's got a ton of NIL money because of their recent donors, and they can go up with the best of them. I think this one's intriguing for multiple reasons. We talked about BYU's schedule, who they've played. Can they answer the question of going into Lubbock and playing with a big dog like Texas Tech? I'm going to go with BYU Texas Tech as my most intriguing game at noon.
See, I'm going to disagree with you. And the game that I think that will get the most ratings is probably going to be Indiana Penn State. And it's because to casuals, Indiana is still an incredible story, and Penn State's still a big name, right? This BYU Texas Tech probably going to be the best game, but to casuals, they don't know that. They don't know that Texas Tech is any good. Texas Tech's been horrible for the last 30 years.
That's true.
So to them, Texas Tech is a great story, but it's still kind of undertold on a national scale, and that might be different after this game. But Texas Tech can look really good. But most people don't know that Texas Tech bought, one of those expensive rosters
they did.
In college football. They don't know that there's all this money floating around down there. To them, it's just the same old Texas Tech.
That's true. And Texas Tech, to be fair, is a really good football team. They really are. I mean, it's a solid – and you're right. They bought a lot of their talent. And, Ohio State did as well a season ago. But Texas Tech's good. And they're going to be in the college football playoff in my mind. I know they've got the one loss already, but this is a legit football team that could make a surprisingly deep run in the college football playoff. It'll be interesting to see for sure.
Let's move to the 3:30 time slot, Cole. This would be kind of the main course. The noon game is the appetizer. The main course is 3:30. I've got 2 games for you to choose from because, again, not a ton to pick from here in this 3:30 time slot that I think would be relevant nationally, competing for the highest ratings. But you got number 3, Texas A&M at number 22, Missouri, and then number 9, Oregon at number 20, Iowa.
This afternoon time slot, I don't think it's the best tomorrow. I don't know. I think Texas A&M Missouri has got to be the leader in the clubhouse. You mentioned Oregon, Iowa. That was your upset pick, right?
It is.
Oregon, Iowa could be interesting. That spread being only 6.5 points is interesting just to keep an eye on. I think Oregon covers the 6.5 on the road tomorrow, but I do believe that ultimately A&M Mizzou, going back to Smitty's point a minute ago, Diesel, I think that could be close. And again, hey, some really interesting spreads this weekend. Look at A&M, only a 6.5 point favorite. I'm just saying, those 2 lead the way for me. I will keep an eye on Oregon, Iowa. I can't watch Oregon, Iowa, though, over A&M, Mizzou. I think that A&M, and imagine if Mizzou had the quarterback. This is Diesel, think about it, a 6.5 point spread without their guy. I don't know.
That's the problem. That's the problem is they don't have their guys. So people may tune in to watch this game and then instantly punch out because Mizzou just can't answer
and maybe
what
so.
A&M is able to do.
Could happen.
I think this Oregon, Iowa, Oregon is one of the top national brands right now. I know they haven't won a national title, but they still command a lot of attention nationally. And, Dan Lanning is a spark plug going on the road. Could there be two personalities that are any more polar opposite between him and Kirk Ferentz? I don't think so.
I love Dan Lanning. So anytime I can watch Dan Lanning, it was a disappointing loss a couple of weeks ago, but to your point, they're really, really good.
If this was basketball season, this Duke UConn would be really fascinating.
Oh, man, there's no doubt.
Football season, not so much.
That's true.
Duke favored by 9.5 in that game. Even though Cole, and again, being facetious here, Duke's 5-3, UConn 6-3. These are two pretty decent football teams.
They are
playing each other.
They are
at UConn. Let's move now to the 7 o'clock time slate. Cole, again, not a lot of ranked on ranked matchups here in this time slot, but you got Florida State, Clemson. I mean, I know that Clemson's awful and Florida State not that great either.
Right.
But you got a bad LSU at number 4 Alabama. And then there's a lot of people who are going to have some nostalgia for this. Navy at Notre Dame.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. I like it. I like the time slot. I mean, and a game that you'll have over there in the corner with Florida, Kentucky, just to see which, midget can come out of that one on top, because both teams are 3-5. I like this time slot. And again, you could have a sneaky good game with Cal, Louisville. I mean, I know Louisville's way better, but just saying, the three that you mentioned, though. Clemson, Florida State, of course, locally has the draw. Navy, Notre Dame has the nostalgia. But LSU, Bama, that has the meat and potatoes. It does. Even though LSU's 2-3, I think this game's going to be fun. I really do. Hey, does coaching matter? Yes, it does matter. There's no doubt coaching matters. Would I be surprised, though, Diesel? I'm telling you, at 5:12 on Friday, would I be surprised if Alabama has to kick a field goal or something to win this game late? No. I'm telling you, I wouldn't.
At the very least, we know in that game, I mean, to some extent, the other games as well. But LSU, Alabama, those two teams are riddled with NFL guys. Guys are going to be
everywhere
playing on Sundays in each of the next couple of drafts. So you got really good players on both sides of the ball. And, hey, everybody wants to see Alabama lose.
They do.
Alabama fans.
Yeah.
And it's even sweeter if it's a down LSU that takes them down.
Isn't it?
It's going to be on the road at Alabama, 7 o'clock night game. And that is going to be an absolutely electric atmosphere.
Now, I will say, even though I think that game for me is number one, I still do believe Clemson, Florida State's going to be a good game. And we talked about it on Wednesday when we were at Ingles. I still believe you're going to see a really good football game on Saturday between two teams that have more talent than their record shows. There's not as much NFL talent littered on both of those teams as there is with LSU and Alabama. But preseason, we thought this was going to be LSU, Bama, plus Clemson, Florida State on the same night. We looked at November the 8th as, oh, my gosh, this could be an all-time epic Saturday. It's not anymore because of what Clemson and Florida State haven't done. But I will say, Diesel, I still think that's going to be a good game. Florida State still has a lot of explosiveness, especially on the outside. And Clemson, their offense hit their stride last week. I'm telling you, I like the over. I like a lot of points scored. I think this is I could be dead wrong. I think this could be a really good game tomorrow night.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it in the next segment, by the way, with Jeff Kulane, the director of broadcasting for Florida State football, Seminole Sports.
Yeah, let's go.
Play-by-play voice for Florida State football and men's basketball. That's coming up in the very next segment, Cole. But the very late night, I don't know if either one of these games are going to interest you. You could say, nah, I'm full. I'm not going to watch any of these games. But we got Nebraska at UCLA. Nebraska, remember, without their quarterback, he went down with a broken leg last week against UCLA. Or UNLV at Colorado State. Could we be seeing Dan Mullen polishing up that resume to take a job back in the SEC again?
Ooh, this is a tough late night snack window, isn't it, in college football? Obviously, the Dylan Raiola injury news is terrible. That guy had just hit 2,000 yards, 18 touchdowns on the season. Nebraska was fun. And how long had it been since Nebraska was fun again? I can't watch this one, though. UCLA's not great. Nebraska's on the road in Pasadena, favored by 1.5. I mean, my God, what's that tell you about this team? That Dylan Raiola goes out and Nebraska's still favored on the road? That doesn't make sense to me. UNLV, okay, I'm interested in Dan Baldwin a little bit, but you're going to make me watch Colorado State football? They're 2-6, 1-3 in the Mountain West. I don't know how much defense to be played here. I think a lot of points take the over. This one might be one of those nights I don't know what the answer is. I mean, there is just not a lot of – maybe you go to a bonfire at the neighbor's house or something because, I mean, this – after that Bama LSU wave, Clemson, Florida State, 9:30 rolls around, yeah, I'm good.
True.
Hey. Did you not mention the 11? You did mention the 11 o'clock game or no?
Which one? The 11 o'clock? Oh, San Diego
Look
State
at those.
Hawaii?
Hey. 7-1 versus 6-3. If you're going to hold a gun to my head and say, hey, you got to watch. Okay. Those are two good teams.
Are you really comparing records right now
Yes.
with the best teams you want to watch? Or,
Yes.
You're going record over brand.
Yeah, I know. It's
Okay.
crazy. I'll probably just not. Just skip the late night snack. I mean,
Just go on to bed.
I might catch up on the Murdaugh series on Hulu or something like that. I fell asleep watching it the other night. I might get caught back up on that. But, yeah, just no interest there. I do like the 7:30 time slot. I think that's as strong as it gets on Saturday. Is that the best time slot of the day? I think so, right?
I think it is. Even though the 3:30 matchup, the 3:30 slot has the ranked on ranked matchups.
That's true.
With A&M, and everybody wants to see if A&M's finally going to crumble against number 22 Missouri on the road, but we'll see. Let's go to the phone lines. We got about 60 seconds for Dewey before we have to jump off the phone and go to Jeff Kulane, Director of Broadcasting for Florida State football. Dewey, what's up?
Yeah. I'm be watching the Syracuse-Miami game tomorrow, along with Clemson and Florida State. I think Syracuse is going to beat Miami, and I'm going to be on here Monday to give it the mad crowd.
Oh, wow. Good. You're not going to let him get away with making any excuses, huh?
But no, seriously, when even if Miami wins, it's going to be like a 3-point win, then there's still going to be excuses for mad crowd. But Clemson, I think Clemson's going to take care of business against Florida State. Florida State's no good. Mike Louisville's no good. And I've been drinking today, so that's why I'm trying to talk.
Wow.
Well, hey, you know what? You need to give your liver a break every now and again, Dewey. Appreciate the
Thanks,
phone call.
Dewey. We got to run to a break. You mentioned it, Diesel. Jeff Kulane, the Director of Broadcasting for Seminole Sports Properties, play-by-play voice of Florida State football, men's basketball. We're going behind enemy lines, talking Florida State, Clemson next.
wire with Cole Bryson and Diesel of the Fan Upstate.
Well, it's time to go behind enemy lines as we do each and every week right here on the Fan Upstate. And, man, we're joined by Jeff Colhane, the Director of Broadcasting for Seminole Sports Properties, play-by-play voice for Florida State football and men's basketball. You know, Jeff, compared to what preseason expectations were, I think it's still a big game Saturday night in Death Valley. I would love to know, from the Florida State perspective, how are fans viewing this game now compared to the way we were viewing this game before the season started, when we thought, boy, this one might have big implications?
Well, it's great to be on with you guys, and we're excited about tomorrow night. A night game at Death Valley special, and I'm really looking forward to it. I know Florida State fans are looking forward to it, and certainly Mike Norvell and company. Every game, it feels like, for both Florida State and Clemson fans has emotion attached to it right now. It's the way the seasons have gone and how you want the season to end to build momentum towards 2026. That's for the first time in, how many years? Neither FSU or Clemson are going to factor into the ACC championship, which is frustrating for both sides. And, honestly, guys, I think every time you circle FSU and Clemson on the calendar, you're thinking it's going to have college football playoff implications or conference championship implications. And, for Florida State, before this season started, we really weren't sure what this season was going to look like after last year's, just frustrating season, frustrating campaign. And so, after the Alabama game for Florida State, I think expectations were recalibrated in a lot of ways. But the last month prior to the Wake Forest win really sucked a lot of life out of it, and that's unfortunate. The big thing, I think, from a Florida State perspective is we've seen this team play great football. And when you beat Alabama, you're capable of beating anybody. And we saw that come back out last week with the dominant performance of the Wake Forest. So, I think the big question for Florida State fans is what type of FSU team is going to show up. And from a Clemson perspective, what do they have left to tank? They're obviously talented enough. They obviously have a lot of guys that will have a ton of games. Which teams are going to show up in this game tomorrow night? Big question.
Jeff, Tommy Castellanos, we know he's a confident guy. We all remember the offseason quotes that Nick Saban's not here to help you, and he backed it up. He won the game against Alabama to start the season. But when he looks at game film, and he's going to be looking across that line, a Clemson secondary, that's loaded with guys that are going to be playing in the NFL, but it's a secondary that is not playing well right now. They're not tackling well. They're not seeing the field well. Just something's amiss with that Clemson defense. What kind of conversations or what kind of quotes have you heard out of Tommy this week leading into that game? Because he's got to be licking his chops.
Well, I've heard nothing, to be quite honest with you. He hasn't said anything. And there hasn't been any predictions or any of the things we've heard back in late June from him. He has, been at that point in time the leader of this football team. Even during a run and a stretch where things didn't go well, he took accountability. After the win against Wake Forest, he let the fans know that the players in the locker room are backing up Mike Norvell. He reminded everybody about how much that the head coach puts into this program and puts into the players. And I just think, a big key in the game from a Florida State offensive perspective is just what you guys talked about. Florida State's big play capability is there with Jeff Malzahn calling the offense and with Tommy Castellanos being the guy, the trigger man at the quarterback spot. And, two guys to watch tomorrow for FSU are Deuce Robinson and Mekhi Gans. And those two guys have been big-time playmakers for Florida State, the passing game. A Clemson defense, like you guys mentioned, that for whatever reason, these are all the guys we've seen the last couple of years for tremendous Clemson defenses. They just have had a little bit of a disconnect. And the last couple of games, 8 passing plays, 20 yards or more, and 7 touchdown passes of 70 yards or more. And so from a Florida State standpoint, that's a potential opportunity. Obviously, Clemson defensively is going to watch the film. They're going to understand what they need to do and tighten things up. But that's a big storyline in a big-time way for how this game can shake out tomorrow night.
Jeff, what does it say about the sport of college football in your mind that you see Clemson, a successful program, drop to these lows that they've dropped to in 2025, Florida State not long ago, where we all remember the shot of them sitting in the meeting room with their heads in their hands after hearing the disappointment that they weren't in the college football playoff. To fast forward a few years, in 2025, you beat Alabama in the beginning of the season, and a few weeks later, you're out of the top 25. In your mind, you see a lot of college football. What's that say about the sport?
Oh, how much time do we have?
As much as you want.
Man, guys, I think we as media and we as voters and the committee, we've got to get away from these preconceived notions of which league is the best and which programs are the best, because it's completely different than what it was even 5 years ago. And that's why Indiana and Virginia can go and find a roster full of players quickly and be in the mix. And but Virginia, who has had a great year, gets shunned because they're not a main program. And Florida State got treated like a group of five schools 2 years ago. It was ridiculous. And we've got to get away from this thought process of, hey, just because the team has been great or a name has been great for years doesn't mean this year they're great. And unfortunately, Clemson going through that this year, and State going through that this year, and you're seeing other teams and programs line up because gone are the days of the big brands accumulating the talent and these guys sitting around for 3 years to wait their turn. They can leave now, and they can go play wherever. And so those days are over. And so just because your name is Alabama or Georgia or whomever, Clemson, Florida State, or whoever it is, you shouldn't be given a pass because of your name. And it's still happening by committee. It's still happening by media. It's frustrating. And it's something that we've got to crack down on and break the walls down and really, look at and try and analyze that. I think we've got to be better. I think everybody out there has to be better. And so much of this, I think, is dictated by TV ratings and other items. And that's what's frustrating, where if you're not a name brand or if you're on the SEC or the Big Ten, you better get a thin margin of error on your team. It's frustrating. And I think ultimately, as we continue to get further and further into this roster turnover and changes and NIL, I think we'll get there, but right now we're definitely not.
Talking to Jeff Culhane, the play-by-play voice of Florida State football. Jeff, every now and again, a stat comes across your desk that it baffles the mind, and it is unbelievable to think that it's been nearly 2 calendar years since Florida State has won a true road game. It's hard to say that can't be right, can it? But we know that football players are creatures of habit, and coaches are as well. But has Mike Norvell kind of shaken up the apple tree? Has he done anything to shake that travel schedule, the walkthroughs, the nutrition standpoints, the scheduling to try to get those road wins? Or is he kind of really maintaining the schedule that he already had prior?
Yeah, I mean, look, 2024 last year was a perfect storm of disaster for this program. Starting with the snow, starting with the way the month of December in 2023 went, and then looking at the unfortunate misses in the portal, the miss at quarterback, the miss in some recruiting areas. I think this was a perfect storm of disappointment. And a lot of things came together at the same time to put Florida State in the spot they were a year ago, unfortunately. This year, I think this is a team that's trying to build back off of the frustration of 2024. Look, the FSU team lost a tough game at Virginia, and that loss is not looking as bad as we thought it was back in late September. The loss to Tampa Bay. There's no way to sugarcoat it, and anybody would tell you here that was one we're supposed to win, and nothing went our way that night. It didn't help us in any way, shape, or form. So this group has to check that box, right? It's sort of the next step in
the culture of this team, this season, and building things back to where you want it to go, and getting back in the conversation as a college football playoff contender, an ACC championship contender. And, it's ironic, right, that it comes here where Clemson from 2014 to 2013 was unbeatable, essentially, and it's in a position where Florida State beats Clemson Saturday night to be the first time in program history Clemson's lost 5 home games in the season. And so it's just wild, and that's sort of the irony you have. It's a fine example of what we just talked about before. The things we think we know in college football, we may not quite know anymore with how the game has changed.
Jeff, for Clemson fans that will Saturday night see this Florida State offense for the very first time, when you talk about guys like Robinson and Danzy on the outside, big play threats, both averaging over 20 a game, or 20 a reception. Robinson 20.3 yards per reception. Danzy just above that at like 24 yards per reception. And look at what they've done in 2025. It seems like those two, Robinson and Danzy, are the go-to guys for a Clemson defense that Diesel brought up a few minutes ago that's had their areas of struggle this year, especially against SMU and Duke. Do you feel like those two guys that Florida State's going to have to rely on Robinson and Danzy to connect on a couple of big plays in order for Florida State to have a chance Saturday?
Well, I think that yes, I think that you would like to believe that's where you want to go. I always feel like when you have games like this with teams with tons of talent, and especially good teams with good coaches, Dabo Swinney's still a great coach. I know it has not been a great year, but he is a great coach. Mike Norvell is a tremendous coach. There's no doubt about it. You got great coordinators across the board. Honestly, guys, I think for Florida State, yes, those two guys could have opportunity, but my thought is someone else will have to step up for Florida State. They'll have to run the football a little bit better. They'll have to get Randy Pittman involved at the tight end spot, who's a versatile guy, kind of like a Jakeem Bell, who was at South Carolina, and also at Florida State playing here in 2023. I always feel like the obvious sort of things that have happened to teams building up towards a game like this, they almost get taken away, and the team that's been struggling figures it out, and it does a great job in slowing down the thing that's really been hurting them. So it wouldn't shock me if Clemson has a great plan in place tomorrow night for both Deuce Robinson and Mekhi Danzy. That means other guys for Florida State need to step up. Maybe Tommy Castellanos can get involved in the quarterback run game a little bit more than what he has here so far this season. But yeah, it's fun to watch those two guys for FSU. They get tremendous, and it's going to be a lot of talent flying around, because though both records have not been up to what either fan base has expected throughout this season.
Jeff, how aggressive would you expect Tony White defense to be on Saturday? We know that if you can rattle Cade Klubnik early, you can kind of hold him down for the better part of the game. But if he gets hot, we saw it last week against Duke, if he gets hot, he can have a prolific day. So in your mind, what's the game plan, the strategy there? Is it be aggressive, try to get early turnovers and kind of put that boot on Clemson's neck, or are they going to play back a little bit, play a little more conservative?
I would like to see that from a Florida State perspective, because, I think that if you're able to come out similarly to what Duke did last week and scoring the first 3 drives and maybe cause a turnover or grab a couple of sacks, you create that here we go again mentality on the Clemson sideline, and maybe the Bluebirds start to come out inside of Baltimore Stadium on Saturday night, guys. So I would think that would be the route that FSU would want to go. They want to be aggressive. I'm sure Cade's ankle is a little bit better since the Boston College game. I know he missed FSU, and he had his heavily paced last weekend against Duke. But, gosh, this passing game for Clemson has been unbelievable. 300-plus yard passes for the last 5 games. Obviously, Garrett Riley and company have dialed it up. And I know we talked about our receivers throughout this conversation, but, man, Clemson wide receivers are tremendous. I mean, Antonio Williams has lit up Florida State in essentially every meeting. 2022, last year, 2024, so versatile with running the football, throw the football. It's a bummer that Brian Lesko is out. I think he's one of the best players in the league, and across the board. Lineberg is so talented and absolutely tremendous. And then you have a guy like Adam Randall, who is so versatile. When you give him the ball on the backfield, he obviously made the move to running back with the ball in his hand. So it's a Clemson offense that's got big play capability, similar to Florida State. But I would agree with you. Yeah, you can get to this group early. You can jump on top early, create a little bit of doubt and a little bit of here we go again mentality. That could potentially go a long way to the success of FSU in the thing.
And then, Jeff, my final question for you: how do you see this one playing out?
Well, I'm gonna go obviously with the Florida State side, but I think it's gonna be a high-scoring game. I'm gonna go 38-34 Florida State in a high-scoring game on Saturday night, which means it'll be 14-13. So that's usually how it goes.
Tell us about it.
But I think yes, I think you're gonna see both offenses have a chance to make big plays. I think it's gonna be a great game. I think it's gonna be a fun game. I think you're gonna see both playmakers on both sides in the passing game have a chance to go out and make some things happen. Which quarterback will avoid a big mistake late in the game, I think is going to be the difference. And special teams as well. You got two good kickers here. Noah Boozer made 5 field goals last year at Dome. And you got a guy for us who's a redshirt freshman, and Jake Weinberg, who's got a big leg, 50-plus yards. So I think this is going to be a fun game tomorrow night, guys, and buckle up. A lot of fireworks expected from my perspective.
My last one for you here, Jeff. A year ago, we saw Mike Norvell do something that no other head coach, at least that I can think of or that I've heard publicly, did, where he said that he was going to commit part of his own salary to Florida State's NIL funds. Is he continuing that on an annual basis, and can you point to any specific fruits that bore?
Well, that's a great question. Yeah, he committed half the salary last year, and I know there's some things written into that agreement where that money's invested into NIL. I believe it's going to be an item that he has the option to continue to do during time. But shoot, he's already put $5 million into it, boy. That's pretty darn good.
Yeah.
So I don't know how much more he needs to add, quite honestly. But he has looked at it and he's understood. And he's understood that, hey, the name of the game is we've got to go and establish the best roster we can and invest in our players. And I give our head coach a lot of kudos for doing that, knowing that after a tough year, it's time to flip it. And they did a pretty good job this year. It's a pretty good roster that they put together, and I'm confident this group is going to continue to get better into 2026.
Jeff, fantastic stuff, man. Really appreciate you taking time to join us this afternoon. Have a great call tomorrow, and we'll talk to you soon. Absolutely. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think he's right. I think ultimately, regardless of records, I think we're still in for a fun one. I can't wait.
One thing that makes me nervous is without Bryant Wesco, how much can they just key in on Williams and take that weapon away?
They'll try
and hold this Clemson offense down because the running game is not working.
I think they'll try to make the run game beat them.
Yeah,
I think, and I say, hey, you're right. Wesco being out's a big deal. Antonio had a good game last week. Tate had a good game last week. So I think that's a big part of it. Should be a lot of fun.
When we come back, Cole, earlier you let in. You kind of buttered Smitty up a little bit, giving him some kudos for his LA Dodgers winning another World Series. Well, there is another Japanese slugger that is going to be making his way into Major League Baseball this offseason. The start, just slowly introducing you Tolos to him and what you can expect from this gigantic prospect coming into baseball. Get that next.
and New York.
Cole, I hope that the LA Dodgers cannot figure out a way to come up with a screwy contract to bring in another monster foreign hitter. I fear that that's possible, and that they're just going to keep on stacking title after title. But there is a player on his way to Major League Baseball from Japan, a star third baseman, and I'm going to struggle with this name.
No, you can do it.
Munetaka Murakami.
Yeah, that's
Murakami.
it.
Munetaka Murakami.
Yes.
He is entering the posting system today to start the process to bring himself to Major League Baseball. 25-year-old power hitter, Cole, who hit 56 home runs last year.
Yep.
Or excuse me, in 2022 to break a record for the most ever home runs in the Tokyo League.
Woo.
This is a player, Cole, who is on his way, who is going to put the ball over a fence a lot in the years to come.
You know, I saw this story, and I kind of thought the same thing you did of, guess the Dodgers are just going to win and win and win and win, and, you know, all these other teams pretty much have no shot. Now, here's what I also thought, because I think stupid things all the time, right? Why are the Dodgers the only team that are racking up on these Japanese sensation baseball? Is it because when you get on an airplane and leave Japan, Los Angeles is the first place you come to? And make it easy. Drop them in Dodger Stadium. They didn't know you could go to Atlanta, you know, the rest, or how about Las Vegas? I mean, this is unfair. I'm sick and tired of it. But you asked the question, are the Dodgers going to be able to do this again? Well, the Dodgers have already figured out a way to do everything else they're not supposed to do, managing the salary and you know,
it's called cheating. They're cheating.
It seems like it, right?
They're deferring salaries. Hey, we'll pay you $25 to come out and play this year. But 10 years from now, once you're old and decrepit and can't even lift a bat anymore, that's when you got $500 million.
Isn't that crazy, man? It really is.
It's nuts.
It's
nuts. So it begs a very good question. Why are other teams not doing this? Do we think that, you know, the Blue Jays, having been a team that was right there, would have a real interest in going after this guy and saying, hey, we want to win a World Series now. Let's get this guy. Or, you know, I don't have any faith in Alex Anthopoulos to come up with a scheme like that. To pay a guy, pay a guy in Snickers bars now and then pay him in truckloads of cash later.
That would be Snickers bar. It'd be the burger. What's the burger place down the Varsity? Varsity Burgers. We'll give you Varsity Burgers, and then we'll pay you later. Is how it works. It's unfortunate. I'm with you. I don't have much faith in Alex. I mean, it's wild to say just a few years removed from a World Series, but it'll be fun to see. Tolos, continue to get your upset picks in 844-326-3663. A very important announcement. If you're just tuning in and you haven't gotten your upset pick in before we run to a break, Diesel and I are only on the air until about 6:30 today because Furman basketball plays tonight. The pregame show with Dan Scott is going to air at 6:30. So if you haven't gotten your upset pick in now, you better do so. You literally have like 30 minutes to do so at 844-FAN-PHONE, 844-326-3663. Time's running out. Diesel, I'm going to tell you one more time before we get into Smitty here in the next segment. Best of luck to you. You and I need the luck when it comes to this upset pick stuff, don't we?
Yeah, I'm down at the very bottom, Cole. I'm talking in danger of not being on the leaderboard here in the next 2 weeks if I don't hit.
And I hope your wife doesn't hit again. My gosh, who let her in this challenge, right?
Lucky for me, she took the same game I did. Once I told her that, she said, I'm going to need you to change your pick. She told me
that's funny.
That I need to change
That's so funny.
So that she has
hey, you should have been copying her for the past 8 weeks, Diesel. That's what you should have been doing. I love it. Let's get into Clemson, South Carolina, and a lot more. Smitty, Sports Talk Media Network, next on the Fan Upstate.
Well, all right.
All right, man. I'm going to disconnect so Dan can get on. Give me in the stream.